I will tell you this, Joe. I do like Jeff Brohm as a guy. He did some really good things at Purdue. So if you don't know, Jeff Brohm was the head coach at Purdue. He left Purdue and then went to Louisville. Louisville being his home state, his home, his home. So where he played, I get it. Buddy, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to agree with.
Uh-oh.
I think that if he can recruit just a little bit better than what Louisville's been doing, they might have a little something. Because let me tell you something about Louisville. It's an amazing town. It's an amazing campus. I've been on it. I've been to it. I've seen their football field. Their football field sits like in a valley to where wherever you are in town, you can see the football field. At the time, it had the big Papa John's logo. I'm sure that that's down now, that he's, a racist piece of shit. But either way, like you when you're in Louisville and you got the distilleries and the night, it's like you're going to a clean Bourbon Street when you go downtown Louisville. I do think Louisville has an interesting, because we've seen them be in a situation where their basketball team's been really good, their baseball team's really good. They've put a lot of money in facilities. Joe, we've actually seen Kentucky start putting money into football, and look what they've done. They've been decent. I mean, they're not world beaters. They've had a couple 8, 9, 10-win seasons under Stoops. But Louisville's in a situation where they don't have to compete with the SEC in reference to day in, day out schedule. I think Jeff Brohm is a guy that could maybe reunite them. And I will tell you, I expect them to win 7 or 8 games. They've got a lot of pieces coming in now. A lot of pieces coming in. They got a lot of good pieces that are still there. They got a lot of athletic dudes. Like, I remember watching the Florida State game last year, and I'm like, there's no reason that Louisville should be in there with them. They've played Ole Miss a couple times and been really competitive. I think Jeff Brohm gets them to a situation where you could see them in 8, 9 wins a year. I think that he can do it. The question is, does he put enough emphasis on recruiting? Look, I'll give an example. I know a couple kids from the Southeast that were going to Purdue, and then the SEC team started calling, and he could, they were like, yeah, whatever, we're not going to Indiana. I mean, have you ever been to Indiana, Joe? I mean, of course,
I love Indiana.
Indiana is a horrible state. It's a horrible. It's a horrible state. Nobody really thinks about Indiana. Like, oh, the Colts. Ooh, your stadium looks like Lucas Oil. Ooh, good for you.
It's an underrated state. It's better than other states.
Name one.
Arkansas.
That's not true.
I'd rather go to Indiana than Arkansas.
But you're not from the South.
That's true.
You're a South shamer.
I'm not a South shamer.
You hate the
I
South.
just like Indiana. I like Indiana. There's nothing wrong with
you like Indiana because Notre Dame's in there. Hey,
I've been to Indiana a lot.
Whataburger in South Bend?
I don't think they do. I don't know.
Okay, well then you're not really from. It's not a good place. I mean, it is what it is. Anyway,
yes.
Getting to Jeff Brohm, I think that he could do some really good things there, considering the athletes that they're going to be accustomed to getting. Unlike what he was able, I think, which is fair. He's going to be able to get better athletes at Louisville than he was at Purdue. I think that's fair.
So this might shock you, Blake, but I actually agree with you on this. I think that Louisville is it's a sleeping giant type of a program, not only because of the location, and I think that it as a college brand entity, it has a lot of pride for it, and it's one of those universities where when you go to it, you're excited to be a part of it. And there's a reason why Jeff Brohm came back, because he wanted to be a part of it, and he was waiting for that opportunity to be re-recruited to come back to Louisville. And I see what the level of success that he had at Purdue with pretty limited talent. Aiden O'Connell, who was the starting quarterback, the guy was a walk-on. He stinks. He's not that good of a quarterback, but he got him to a level where people are considering him to be.
He might be a 5th or 6th round pick, brother.
He might be, and
he literally
shouldn't be. He's not that good.
Very quickly who he reminds me of? He's a poor man's Jared Goff. They look the exact same.
He's a very poor man's Jared Goff. Let's put it that way.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
But he was able to get really great production out of O'Connell. And then we look at the guys that he developed at receiver, David Bell, and I'm completely blanking on who's the Arizona Cardinals player, the 5'7" guy. Oh my God, I'm completely blanking on his name.
It starts with an R. Moore.
Rondell Moore, who torched Ohio State and was one of the most prolific receivers in Purdue history. He has been able to take these 3-star guys and develop them into really explosive players. And the thing that he's done, he's recruited a lot of athletes and turned them into really productive players. I mean, George Karlaftis, that one's even more surprising to me that he was able to get a guy like that, develop him into a first-round pick. The talent development is what is going to make Brohm an exciting destination for a lot of mid-tier 4-star recruits. I think that is what is going to be his calling card here. He doesn't need to go get the 5 stars. He can get these lower end 4 stars, these 3-star guys, and turn them into potential stars because he has a track record of doing it at a university that notoriously does not produce any NFL talent whatsoever. It is a miracle the level of success that he had with not just on-field success, but player development. I also believe the last part on this is that Louisville has a really good opportunity here to be an NIL hotbed in a way. They need to fix their basketball situation because their basketball program right now is
you can't have hookers and cocaine. And
they went from that to now it's like an AAU team where these guys are dicking around, dunking before games and not taking any shots. They clearly look like they have no care in the world of what happens for them. But if they fix both these programs, I think that they could go back to the massive level of success that they had. And there's a reason why they attracted Reuben Owens and almost had him committed, who was the number 1 running back in the class. Right. I'm disappointed he did not stay committed to Louisville. And I think I'd be even higher on the outlook if he stuck around, but still nonetheless, there is a lot of opportunity here with all of those things.
Well, look, so I've been sitting on this for a little while now because I knew that ultimately we would talk about Jeff Brohm going to Louisville. Dude, if you go look at who he got from the portal, a lot of people aren't really high on Jack Plummer, okay? But I think he's
underrated.
He's extremely underrated. He fits exactly like when I saw that Jack Plummer was going to Louisville, I was like, dude, that is a really sneaky, very sneaky addition. And then I remember when the Gross Killebrew kid from A&M, the DB, went. I'm like,
he's a dude.
He's a dude. But then they went out and got Kevin Coleman from Jackson State, one of the 4 stars DeLeone was able to pull. And then Brohm out-recruited DeLeone to get Coleman into Louisville. And I was like,
yeah.
They
also got some guy who's trash.
Who?
His name's Jamari Trash.
I got to be honest. I didn't even see that. You talking about Jamari Thrash?
Oh, no. Is his name Thrash? God damn it. That would have been funnier.
You called a guy.
I thought it was Trash.
No, I'm like, wait, what?
I wish his last name was
not read?
No, apparently. It was before I had my coffee.
His last name is spelled Thrash.
That would have been the best name in college football if his name was Trash. Wow, I'm an idiot.
Jamari Trash. Oh, my God, Joe. Jesus.
Oh, man.
You should repent of your sins. Anyway, but then, like, he got Jimmy Callaway from Tennessee.
Yes.
I just think that he did some sneaky stuff. And by the way, then you go and look at the freshman class that they got enrolled, edge rushers, interior offensive linemen.
5 4 stars, number 31 in the country.
And listen, Joe, I'll be honest. I get it's 31. It might be the most underrated 31 ranked class in the country. And maybe ever. They got some dudes. Bro, Jeff Brohm and them might upset somebody this upcoming season that no one thought was coming.
And one thing as well, look, I'm being totally realistic here. I don't want to be overly optimistic, with their outlook. And I try for specifically 2023, what they can produce if we're talking about just that. If I'm being realistic, I have them around 7 wins. But at the same time, they have a pretty light schedule. This is another one of those teams for first-year head coaches. We've done a lot of these that he has a really, really light, easy schedule. His out-of-conference games are Murray State and Indiana, and they also play Kentucky. Kentucky's probably a loss for them, but outside of some of these other games that they played, some of these could be toss-ups. Like they playing NC State, which probably won't be a toss-up because NC State's a more established program.
Right.
I'm not going to say Notre Dame's a toss-up. Notre Dame should beat them. Pitt is a toss-up. They have I don't think Pitt lost their running back Israel Abakinda, and I just don't know what redeeming players they currently have.
And Slova's transferred, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm a big Narduzzi fan because he's a former Rhode Island football player, but I can't be high on them in that matchup. I think that with Brohm, as we're talking about them to randomly upset somebody, that to me smells like a random upset for them to pull off. Duke is a little bit of a toss-up, but I think that Duke is transitioning and improving every single year, so I don't want to give that one as a toss-up.
Right.
Miami is the biggest question mark, is how
they're going to beat
Miami this year.
They're going to
You think they will?